This is what I think is probably going to be maybe the most competitive series here. It could go either way. It's a pick 'em, but the Knicks versus the Atlanta Hawks. How do you see this one breaking down?
So I'm going to go Hawks.
Okay.
Not quite sure how many, but the longer it goes, the worse that is for New York. Here's why. Your favorite coach, Tibbs, notorious for lots of hard practices, plays all of his starters long minutes. That's always been a criticism of Tibbs.
And still, to be fair, Julius Randle leads the league in minutes, and I'm pretty sure another Knicks player is second.
Right. I think the Knicks are the more tired team, and I think that matters for a lot in the playoffs. I think there's rest in between games, but coming in, if the Atlanta Hawks get up on them, if Trae Young gets hot a couple times and they get an early win and they see the ball go in the bucket, that's going to be a problem for the Knicks. I think they have a good defense, but I think that against shooters, that takes away a lot of the things that you can do, especially someone who has the range like Trae Young.
Their perimeter D is really good.
It is really good. But when Young starts to stretch and warp your perimeter defense, which is what happens when he starts shooting those really deep threes, which he will do. He's not as good as Steph or Harden or Dame, but he will do it. He thinks he's as good as them, and that's all that matters in the playoffs. And when that happens, if he sees them go in early, they could win a game or two early and make this go 7. Like I said, the longer this goes, the more likely the Hawks are to win this series.
Okay, I'm willing to take the Knicks here. I just feel like in the playoffs, defense is what wins. The adjustments are what wins. And I think that in combination with just the experienced veterans that were leaders on that Knicks team kind of can take them in the close games that happen. Like, experience-wise, do you think any player on the Hawks can match up with D Rose in a late game situation and knowing how to handle it when it's close?
Experience-wise, no.
Okay, I'm just saying the playoffs are the place where experience and defense generally win out, which is why I'm willing to take the Knicks.
But D Rose is the only player on the Knicks who I would probably put in that category for the most part.
So Taj Gibson is also there, and their 10 years of playoff success actually overlap aggressively.
Well, yes, but I don't think if this is the end of the game, the Knicks are putting the ball in Taj Gibson's hands. I think it's more likely to be Randle or Derrick Rose.
Yes, he's a 4.
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
The question,
but that's also about things like situational defense,
yes,
not making mistakes, etc. Like the mistakes are usually what cost you those close games, and I feel like the Hawks are due for more of those mistakes. Even though you might think just raw talent-wise, they're the better team.
Well, this is where the tired argument comes in. When you're tired, the Knicks will make more mistakes. They will be slower to rotate on defense. They will be slower to close out, etc.
I'm just not super concerned about that right now.
Okay.
Like they're getting a pretty large break right now, right before the playoffs start, right? And I agree, they'll play minutes. So I agree with you on the minutes thing and how the longer that can affect things. But I think that's usually a second round issue for teams that get run into the floor.
Usually, except for Tibbs teams. But we'll agree to disagree.
Tibbs is actually pretty good in the first round.
But his teams are worked harder over the course of the season. Collectively, the wear and tear.
And he's still good in the first round.